Welcome to the Regal Eagle Report. I'm Lasia. I'm Loveline.
And I'm Aaron, and we are your co-hosts.
We are Team 2869, a diverse and inclusive team located at Bethpage High School. We are aiming for our podcast to be an outlet to interact with other teams and collaborate on varied ideas and thoughts.
We are so excited to introduce our brand new series where we will be interviewing one team from each state.
Embark on a journey as we will be aiming to hit every state, reaching our goal of 50. For this week's episode, we will be interviewing LED Robotics from Florida.
So please introduce yourselves as well as your position on the team. We will start first.
Hello there, I am Bibi. I am the president of LED Robotics 6722.
Oh no, it's okay. You guys can go.
I'm Noah. I'm the vice president of LED Robotics.
I'm AJ. I'm the treasurer.
I'm Damani, and I'm one of the builds.
I'm Lasta, and I'm podcast manager. I'm Loveline, and I'm fundraising manager.
I'm Aaron, and I'm mechanical, and I'm part of the mechanical team and the carpentry team.
And I'm Leon Laspina, the lead mentor.
Perfect. Okay, so our first question is, how was your team founded? Like, what is its origin?
So our rookie year is 2017. Prior to that, our lead mentor, Mr. Algram, was actually doing something else with Bex since like 2012. And then we just kind of started experimenting with First, and we started our rookie year the same year that we moved schools, because prior to this, we used to be at another school called Sun Lake. After our lead mentor switched to teach over at Wendell Crane Technical High School, we started out our rookie year for First, and that was the beginning of it all. Basically where it all began.
So is there any like funny story behind your team's name?
Well, it didn't originally mean LED, like the diode. It meant something.
It meant Leviathan Engineering and Design, and it was a little wacky, so we kind of changed it because our mentor didn't like it.
He thought we could have moved to something better. So instead of just, moving to an entirely different name, we decided, hey, what if we just compact it down to LED?
I like that. Yeah, I love it.
Just repurposing the same idea.
Yeah.
How many years have each one of you been a part of FRC?
Well, we start back there.
So I've been doing it since my freshman year, so the past 3 years now.
Same with them, past 3 years.
Me too.
I've only been here for 2 years, so since last season, I moved schools. I got here, I discovered what robotics was and what the club was, and I was like, wow, this is something I'm really interested in being a part of, and I'm really glad I did it. It offered me a lot of stuff, learn a lot along the way, a lot of things that I appreciate.
So where is your school located? Like, is there like a lot of teams around you, or like in a city or urban?
We're located, do you wanna go?
There's only a few teams near us. There's about 2 teams within like a 2-hour radius where we are. There's not a lot of teams near us, but there's a lot in Florida.
Our closest team is actually River Ridge, Royal Robotics. They're basically right down the street, where our school is in close proximity to theirs. So that's part of the inspiration for why actually Mr. Algram moved to FRC, was because of them introducing us.
So because you guys don't have like a lot of teams near you, where's your closest regional event?
Our closest regional is Orlando, the Orlando Regional. We go there every single year. Our main thing. And then after that, we go a little bit farther. We go up to Tallahassee.
Tallahassee was really nice because going down to Miami is like a far drive for us. Tallahassee is like better.
Yeah. Do you guys receive a lot of international teams at your regionals?
We see a lot of teams, not a lot. We see
There's a handful.
some. We see from Pakistan, Australia,
Brazil,
and Brazil.
Colton.
And then I think it's about it.
Mexico.
Netherlands. We see Netherlands.
That's nice.
Not that many, but it's a handful that you are like, oh yeah, they are from another country.
Yeah. How many members are in your team?
How many members are in our team?
Yeah.
We grew a lot in the past couple of years. So right now we're sitting at 41.
This
is the biggest
the most
we've ever been. Because a couple of years ago, back when
Back in
back-
Rapid React.
Back in Rapid React, used to be 18 people, I think.
18
Oh,
people.
wow.
We increased
So
a
now-
lot.
2 years later, we're sitting at 41, and it's just like,
Yeah, more than half. So how has your team like helped increase more underclassmen to join your team? How have you guys increased membership?
So one of the things we do in our school is that we have a club tradition. Every Friday we wear our LED shirts around the school as a way to advertise ourselves. And since they're so attention grabbing, like every once in a while you get people, being like, oh, where are they from? And they just kind of start digging in and they kind of figure out who we are. Like, oh, I want to join that.
We also have a robotics class here, and our mentor is the teacher of that class. He advertises it to all the new freshmen that come in every year. And we're kind of a small school right now, and we're growing really fast. So there's a lot of new freshmen that come in, and our mentor is constantly advertising to join the club.
It's really cool. Wait, where do I actually? Never mind.
What are some ways the team has gathered sponsors?
So this is a funny story. This is a really, really, really funny story from last year. So after we won the Tallahassee Regional, we were not expecting it at all. We were not in the financial place to go. So the second we got back, like the exact same week that we got back, the day we got back. A lot of our members, especially like not upperclassmen, like other members in the club, decided to make a sort of call center where they had spreadsheets. They were putting in business names. They were putting like, oh, we can call this person, we can call this person, and they had it all like mapped out. So they were just calling person after person after person after person, and we got a lot of sponsors that way.
Especially like targeting local areas and local companies. That's like definitely the way to go.
Was this last year that you won the Tallahassee Regional?
Yes, this was last year.
And you said you weren't expecting it. So you were on the winning alliance. How did it happen that you were like surprised by the win?
So here's the thing. When we were building a robot, we were under the impression that we were like we were all right. We didn't really expect anything. We knew we were doing better than the year before. We had seen a lot of improvements in the team. We were very happy with how we were performing. And then we got to Orlando, which was our first regional last year, and we were killing it out there. We were like, wow. We were like, oh, this might be a possibility for us, perhaps, because
we ended as Alliance 8 in Orlando, and going into the next competition, we realized there's a lot of the same people there that were above us. So it was just kind of unexpected how within like a 2-week span, we ended up in the number one during qualifications and one elimination.
It's crazy.
Oh, so you were the number one seed. And so you must have had good scouting then, because the number one seed doesn't mean you're going to win. You must have picked exactly the right teams to match with you.
Yeah.
And last year's game, that was important because it wasn't like, you wanted different robots doing different things, basically.
Yeah, it was actually me and our current lead programmer that were taking care of scouting for a while back last year. So I can tell you from that sense that the scouting team put in a lot of work, a lot of hard work. It was constant monitoring, constantly making sure that we were getting every single match down.
No sleep.
No sleep. We were getting back to the hotel, eating a little bit, and then it was like a little group of us that were going up to a single room and discussing everything from the day. So we knew that we were on the same page, that we had our pick lists ready to go, that we knew what we were gonna do and what we were gonna say if anything.
If you're only an hour away, why were you guys at a hotel? I thought you said Miami was an hour away from you. Maybe I misheard you.
No, we're a little north of Tampa. Give like 30 minutes from Tampa, right? So if we were to go to Miami, it would be like 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
2.5, 3.5-ish.
We also
go ahead.
We also like to avoid South because it's normally week 1, and we're never ready our bot is never ready during that time because it's just never ready.
We're exactly the opposite. Week 1 is like further north of us, and in New York we view because we're from the tri-state area, we're like close to New York City, about 30 miles east of it. So we view like everything north of Manhattan is like upstate for us. But in reality, there's places in New York that are only a couple of hours drive that aren't all the way up. But anyway, the regional that is week one would involve a hotel stay. And we were worried that we might have to do that because we're fortunate enough because of the density in our area that we normally never have to book a hotel for a regional because there's a local college that's about a 30-minute drive away. And then New York City is maybe an hour drive away with traffic, maybe an hour and a half, depending. And those are our two regionals we typically do, is the local college and then Manhattan. But if we went north, then it would involve a hotel stay, and it would be there's an early regional there, which it's actually I think it's week 2, but not a fan.
Yeah, no, because
we need more time.
Yeah, no, clearly. No, because of where we're at located, anywhere we go, it's gonna be a hotel stay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because you mentioned there's only a couple of teams in your vicinity. That's definitely a lot tougher. And then a lot tougher financially because then you ended up going to Texas last year. So you were scrounging to get that fund. We got this conversation because you were talking about how you had to like rapidly call places and look at getting funds together because but I remember seeing you guys there. So clearly you made it.
Yeah, it was very
It's just the name. I mean, I saw so many teams I wouldn't remember, but LED, and I think you had a very well-lit pit, and I remember thinking that was, of course they have a well-lit pit, and
Yeah.
I had light envy. So yeah.
Yeah, we have talking about the pit, we have something good coming up at for this year as well. So if we see you guys, hopefully we make it all the way to Houston and we make it there. You guys are gonna have a blast there.
We see it.
Yeah.
So like, who are some of the people who sponsored you guys to go to Worlds?
So we have our main long-standing sponsor, Fax Engineering. They've been with us since the start. They have been incredible with us, very accommodating. A couple of our mentors, actually most of our mentors in our team are work there because they used to be members of LED Robotics that got internships, that started working with Fax, and now they're coming back to us to help us. Really cool.
It's like a nice relationship we have with Fax. We also have a few local sponsorships that we get. Like Noah over here went to like a tire shop and they were very happy to like sponsor us a little bit as long as they got like a little photo of us. And I even went to a dentist office and apparently they do like soccer. So they were like, oh sure, we're the robotics team, which was really nice.
It's the community that helps us really. They are really interested in what we do, what our mission is, and they're just ready to support us whenever we need support. So it's very nice to be surrounded by so much generosity around us.
That's so nice. So what are some other fundraising initiatives you guys have taken throughout the year?
I think
Calendar
the
raffle.
calendar raffle is the most successful one. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So basically every year we make a calendar raffle, and it's when we give out these calendars for like $20, 25, depending on what the prizes are. And every single day for either a month or for like 15 days, it's like a calendar of prizes that you can win every day. And if you buy a ticket, then if you buy a calendar, then you get a ticket in the raffle. And then when you get chosen, it's like displayed on Facebook Live, and then they get that prize. And you can win the prize as many times as possible. Your name is always returned in the calendar. So all in all, like the prizes, you could spend $20 for something that's around $2,000, depending on like how much we put into the prizes,
Yeah, this year we
So
had
you're the treasurer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so how much money does that typically raise? That calendar thing.
it was 18,000, almost 19,000 this year.
almost 19,000 this year
19,000 on a raffle?
on the calendar raffle.
Amazing.
Oh
So-
my God. Do you have like, I mean, how do you incentivize your team members to sell tickets? I'm assuming everyone on your team is like selling dozens of raffle tickets, right?
Yeah.
Our mentor is very scary. If you don't sell 20 tickets, he'll probably drop your grade.
So 20 tickets, 20. You will sell 20 or else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm learning
One of
things.
the
Thank
things-
you. Taking notes.
One of the things we make sure is that we put like a quota of how many you were expected to sell.
20 tickets.
This year with 20, we were trying to go above and beyond. We were trying to see we were really reaching for the stars, you know. We were like, let's see if we can do 20 a person. So that would be this year that would have been $400 a kid. So, and then there were kids that went above and beyond, like.
Bright light.
Yeah.
I ordered stealth
The LED
wheels.
shine in from the side.
We're
We're doing an interview.
Oh,
Can we talk about it later?
blue wheel. Did we order again or no?
We ordered stealth wheels.
Ooh.
The blue wheels are out of
So
stock.
good.
Thank you.
Everyone wants those stealth wheels. 3 inches or 4 inches?
4 inches.
4 inches.
4 inches, yeah. I wish we ordered 4 inches. I just found it was 3, and the problem is they don't have a hex bore. And then my team's like, oh, and so can we order something from Vex? And I said, no, I don't want to order anything from Vex. Plus, we're out of money. I like Vex, but we need the hex bore. So now what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Anyway, stealth wheels. We have a new rule that we're no longer allowed to sell raffle tickets. And with every new rule comes a new loophole. So we means the team members, and me as the district employee is not allowed to promote the sale of raffle tickets. I think one of our auditors considered this to be like gambling or some kind of fuzzy, I don't know. It was a new rule that came down from the higher up admin. But there's no rule that says parents can't sell raffle tickets, and parents are allowed to gamble. So money was raised selling Super Bowl boxes, but none of the kids were involved in that, except maybe they might have known that their parents may have purchased a Super Bowl box. And then that was used as seed money to purchase food for an event we're hosting. We're having a practice field coming up. So, but we're not really officially allowed to sell anything like that. But the parents have their own rules because they're not district employees, and on their own, they sometimes sell raffle tickets and things like that. But man, 19,000, we've
That's so
never
much
had a
money.
raffle that touches anywhere close to that. That's absolutely incredible.
You make 19,000 every year through that raffle?
No, the raffle hasn't been instituted for long enough. It's been a couple of
This
years.
is our second year.
This is our second year that we've done it. So it's
That was your record. 19K was your record. All right.
in the bar.
So what are some of the prizes you guys give out each day through this raffle?
It was last year when we did the raffle, we did a lot of physical stuff, and we found that it was hard to ship, because we had air fryers, we had physical items. So once
We had a TV.
we had a TV
Oh.
that was being basically, and the thing was that we allowed to sell outside of Florida. So imagine trying to ship an air fryer to another state, it becomes very convoluted, becomes a hassle. So this year we said, all right, let's do gift cards.
Yeah.
So if it's necessary, and it's outside of the state, we'll just buy the gift card at a place nearby them and then just ship it off easily. It's gonna be that difficult. So that's what we did this year.
It was $50, and the very last day we always have a special prize. Last year it was the TV, which was the big money thing, but this year it was a $100,
$200 Visa card.
Yeah,
So
That's really nice. Yeah.
and
Now
usually
coming to
it's from donations from the parents,
Mm-hmm.
trying to work with them, or sometimes we gotta pay for a few of them, not gonna lie.
yeah, we set aside a little bit of money in savings ever since last year. That's just dedicated for the fundraiser of the next year. So the materials, the gift cards,
Yeah.
anything that has to be bought, we set that money aside for it. But sometimes the parents are very willing to help. So
That's so nice.
I want to cycle back to the enormous accomplishment you guys had last year of being the #1 seed. And going into it, you were not that optimistic about your machine, which makes me think you were underestimating yourselves, because you must have had a machine that could score cones in every place and pick cubes up off the floor, and probably do a lot more than that to end up being ranked 1. I'm wondering how your robots evolved over the years. You had the most successful machine you could have last year. How has your design strategy and your mechanisms evolved?
So Our team has always been a student-run club only. Our mentors don't touch the robot really at all. They'll give us pointers here and there, and they'll kind of help us, inspire us on what to do and give us ideas. But for the most part, it's all built by us and came up by us. So a lot of our robots, especially when you compare it to maybe some of the bigger teams that have a lot of these mentors who are more hands-on with the robot, a lot of our robots for the past couple years have been lackluster, to say the least. My freshman year, for instance, was coming out of COVID, so our team was completely restarted. We did not have any people who had really any hands-on experience with FRC before, besides a couple of our upperclassmen. And so with our small numbers and going into our first season, it was really hard for us to compete. Our robot for Rapid React did not do a great job, and we overall were disappointed with our progress. So last year for Charged Up, our goal, we all had hands-on experience now. Our goal was to just try and get farther. So going into Orlando was definitely a shock, placing 8th. And so going into Tallahassee, we were even more surprised when we were able to get first and secure the victory of the entire regional, just because of how our club has been since the beginning, and especially our freshman year.
That is awesome. I really respect the fact that you guys take ownership over it, and we have the same policy here. You know, I'll direct them, give ideas. Sometimes I reserve veto power on something I think we're not, especially in terms of timeline. Like, that's a great idea, and if we had months, we might pull it off. But we have 2 weeks. So, but you know, in terms of the actual design, it's very much student run. But so we often base ideas off of things we've done before that have worked. So coming out of COVID, we were pretty successful. We pretty much took an old robot in the lab and said, oh, why don't we try to build it like this one? And maybe that'll kind of work. And I was also looking to do things that we had good models of, because the students, like you, same as your team, didn't really have, have too much hands-on experience. And since then we progressed. And right now our machine is by far the most complicated, which makes me extremely nervous, because it's either going to work really, really well, or it's going to be a machine that almost scores points. And it's really rough being out there. Your team probably has been in that situation before. You said lackluster. You know, a machine that almost works and can almost get the job done is just incredibly frustrating. So
it's not just sitting in the field, but it can almost do it, but not quite.
Right. We're like, if we had another month, we would have really been great. But, you know, then the regional comes. We like having a deadline before the deadline, because we have a low pressure event. We're hosting it, so it's not that low pressure, but the score doesn't count. You know, if the event goes well and our machine barely scores any points, it still can be a success. We can learn from it and then hopefully have a working product before Hofstra. When is your first regional?
So our first regional is week 3. It's the Tallahassee regional, so it's March 13th. So like I said, we're located near Royal Robotics. So they actually offered to do a scrimmage with us before we head over. So
that's very valuable. That's awesome.
We're going to do that, but definitely soon, hopefully.
Are you going to set up a whole field or a half field?
Right now, we don't have the entire field. I don't know what their field is looking like.
That's kind of what we're trying to figure out right now, what the plans are going to be for that, if we're going to go ahead and do it with them. Because it'd be a great opportunity for us, so.
Oh, yeah, and especially if you can have things mapped out so you can tune autonomous, that's huge. But just in this game, we have to go all the way across the field to pick up, some like last year, right? So just having the experience of doing that. For the first time, we're able to leave the field setup that we create across the street, because a friend of ours from a local high school happens to be an official at that church, and they agreed to rent or give us the gymnasium for the week. So after we set up our field, we're going to leave it there and get a little more practice time, which will be great if we have a machine to practice with.
Fingers crossed for us as well. Yes. We're actually working on programming right now in the other room, so hopefully we can get something up.
So are there any new or different parts you added to the robot, like swerve drive or anything like that?
Yeah, so our first year, obviously coming back from COVID, our team just did not have the funds to do swerve drive. And in fact, we actually were still using sims on our robot for our freshman year. So we stuck with just the basic tank drive with 4 motors. But last year, thanks to our calendar fundraiser, we were able to, and sponsorships, we were able to purchase our first swerve drive. And so that was our robot for last year. So we got the West Coast, we got the flipped belts. And so we're in love with the swerve drive. I personally do a lot with it. So we went ahead and we're continuing with the swerve.
Which library are you using for it, for the programming? We had some issues with what we had used last year.
You want to yell at Tristan real quick, baby? He's right over there.
Yeah, yell at real quick.
For it.
Where's the library we use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tristan!
I have an idea.
I thought-
Tristan!
Kristen!
In a closet.
Tristan!
Oh, you're right. I
What
forgot.
library we use for programming?
I was like,
Yeah, for Swerve. For Swerve. Alright.
Thank you! WPI, built-in library.
Which one?
WPI built-in library.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
wow.
the well?
I'm just surprised. Okay. I don't think we've even like given that any thought. Okay. Cool.
Something you guys want to try out with.
So assuming from that, I assume you guys use swerve drive as well for your robot?
Yeah, and last year, so SDS has their own library. There were some issues with that. There was some other library our lead programmer found, and I'm a programming teacher. I didn't like the way the code was written. But also we had issues with this thing not working as well as we wanted them to. Like the drivetrain worked well-ish. Sometimes it just wasn't moving exactly the right way the operator was intending for it to move. And we couldn't get the Pathfinder to work. So to program autonomously to say I wanted to go exactly 2 meters forward to this spot, that we didn't have the accuracy on that for some reason. So we're hoping this year we can improve upon that. It was still an enormous benefit for the team, especially with that game. So we totally understand and can relate to your financial evolution. We were very, very constrained financially, but the team has done a really good job fundraising, making cold calls, reaching out to local sponsors, and then running events. Raffles not as good as you, but other little things, lots of little things, and events have been great. Like we'll do an outdoor movie night and sell tickets to that. We'll do like a badminton tournament and sell tickets to that, and then the winner gets what do we give them?
like gift cards. Gift cards after we give them the badminton, like
yeah, another thing.
trophies, yeah. So since you guys are affiliated with your district, like your district robotics team, do you guys have any FLL teams or FTC teams in your district as well?
We are working on it. We haven't had like a Pasco team in like 11 years. We started one last year, but then a lot of the kids, they dispersed. So it's hard. Like we gotta try forming the team back again this year. And once we like get it started and like actually start going to the competitions for the FLL, I think it'll eventually accumulate. And we're starting to reach out like a lot more to the elementary schools and doing a lot of outreach events for them now. So I think it'll be a lot easier with this upcoming year.
How many elementary schools do you guys have?
We don't have any elementary schools, but like we like.
So the way we reach out to elementary schools is through our program called Gear Professionals. It's one of our outreach proposals where we try to reach young women and inspire them into STEM, right? They'll teach them what it's all about problem solving, the ins and outs, so that they just get introduced to it and maybe they want to pursue it in the future.
We also participate a lot of like events at elementary schools. So Marlow is an elementary school we go to. We do a lot of things there. So if they have like a Halloween event, we'll set something up there. Over the summer, we participated and we sent volunteers from our club to a robotics camp that they were having at all their elementary school, which is neat.
Yeah, Rocket Sock'em during the summer was a fun thing because we were able to talk and work with a lot of elementary and middle school kids. So.
Yeah, and our principal, he's big on showing elementary middle schoolers around our school and promoting not just the robotics program and the club, but every program in our school. So typically when he brings stuff through, we'll be advertising the program and club for them.
to take the t-shirt cannon around.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does tours around a couple of schools, and he always asks for our t-shirt cannon.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mhm.
How is your school organized? Like, do you guys is like elementary, middle, or high, or do you guys allow anyone to join?
No, so the way we are we're a choice school. Basically you have to apply to come to our school. It's divided into different programs. So there's biomed, cybersecurity, robotics, cosmetology. There's a plethora of programs. Yeah, there's a lot.
So you guys are, I'm assuming, are part of the robotics program.
He's in biomed.
Yep.
Oh wow,
Our club is open to everyone. We have people from HVAC, cybersecurity.
that's nice.
We in fact actually have a couple people from other schools as well that come and participate in our club.
Oh, nice. Really cool. Yeah. So other schools meaning like other choice schools or like public schools?
Just any other
school.
school. We have one person from classical preparatory, not classical preparatory.
It's
Dayspring.
Yeah, so we
And then we have somebody else that does Pasco e-school, so online schooling.
How do you guys like gain members from these places? Do you like
a lot of outreach from like people in club. So we have a lot of people in club that have outside friends that bring them in because they're like, oh, this is a cool club, you should come and join, and then they try it, then they like it. So that's kind of how we get. We've had a lot of other people that come in and come out. It just becomes too difficult for them to transport themselves from their school to our school. So but we have a few that stay.
That's so nice. I like that.
For outreach, do you have any, or if you do, what are some of your major outreach initiatives locally and internationally?
Yeah, I think our biggest program might be Geared for Girls at the moment. We're like really reaching out to elementary schools and libraries and trying to get like STEM outreach, targeting like girls and inspiring them, because we kind of come from a lower income community and there's not as many STEM opportunities as there would be in like Tampa, and we're trying to give them opportunities to become inspired, like how we can become inspired by joining this club, you know?
So through Geared for Girls, you guys like do specific activities with them? Like what do you do through this program?
So the way we do it is, it depends on where we're reaching out, because sometimes we go to farmers markets, sometimes we actually do events at schools. So it really varies on where we're going. Generally, if it's a farmers market, we do like a small activity with them to teach them a couple of terms, engineering here and there, and just so enough that it grabs their attention, but it's not too long. And then when we go to elementary schools like Marlow, we generally divide it into different areas where we try to teach them a different concept, problem solving, working with a limited amount of materials, that kind of stuff. And so we just kind of break them into groups and rotate around the groups so everybody gets to enjoy each area.
Yeah, that's really nice.
One of the areas was programming Lego bots and like trying to score in a different area. One of them was making binary bracelets. It's like cute activity.
So cute.
And the fun parts of STEM that they should like enjoy, you know?
One of them was they had to make like a very, very long strip of paper, the longest they could, with a singular piece of paper. So it was like a little competition. We got really excited about it.
That's so exciting. I love that. So you guys obviously went to Worlds last year. So how was your experience if you went, and what was like your favorite part or like best takeaway?
I think it was overall a really great experience. The one thing I was one of the drivers on the team, so I really got the real experience. But I think the venue was nice. It was a little big, but I guess that's the whole point of it. But it was overall a good experience, and I'm glad we went, and I'm glad we qualified for it. We never thought we would ever go to Worlds, so
we were happy to go to the elimination brackets.
Yeah, but
was this your team's first time going to Worlds, or?
That it was.
Amazing. That's great. Yeah. So what sparked interest in robotics for each of you individually?
You want to start back there, Damani?
Yeah, so I've kind of always been intrigued by stuff like this. There's the word. I've always been interested in it. So coming into this school, I applied for the robotics program. And actually, thanks to this guy right here, his cousin was our past president of last year. And so he actually convinced me not only to be in the program, but to join the club just to have something to do after school.
Well, as you know, my cousin was the president of this club. I don't know why I picked biomed. Don't know, but yeah. So he wanted me to join this club because he was part of it, and me and my cousin. I mean, we're cousins, we're friends.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, I mean, as time went on, I really enjoyed the club, and it really like sparked, like as you said, it sparked something, and I just really enjoy it. So.
Well, I wasn't always gonna go to this school, but once circumstances happened and I realized, oh, I'm definitely going here, I just chose the robotics program, and then the teacher told me about robotics club, and I'm like, oh, that sounds actually pretty cool. And then when I actually got started, I was like, I'm actually kind of good at this. This is fun, you know?
Yeah, I after a couple years of the pandemic and being homeschooled, I decided to, let's try out physical, like actually going to school. So I applied here, I got in here, and then I think it was the first week where I learned about the robotics club, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a really cool thing to join. So I just joined, and it's been here ever since.
Have alumni within your team pursued higher education in STEM-related majors or jobs?
So one of our mentors, our build mentors, Montaz, he actually just finished with his AA degree. And I know he has future plans. Right now, he's taking some time to get a job, and he actually works as I don't know, what would his job? He's a technician at an airport. So he helps fix like the transport and that sort of stuff.
And our past seven of our seniors from last year that graduated are all in college right now for a 4-year college right now. University.
One of our main mentors comes back from UCF. He did electrical engineering, and then that's Rob.
Rob, yeah.
Rob pursued electrical engineering.
Rick is an electrical engineer as well. The person who runs FACS, our lead sponsor, Rick, he's an electrical engineer, so he'll constantly give us pointers to our electronics lead.
Are you guys planning to do anything in the STEM field?
Yep, I actually was accepted into UCF mechanical engineering.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And I plan on studying engineering eventually.
I plan on the same.
Mechanical engineering for me as well.
So nice, yeah. Okay, so those are all the questions from our team. So now it's more like an open floor, and then you guys can ask any three of us any questions.
All right. Can I go first or something? And then we kind of take
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about how you guys do your scouting.
Okay, so I think 2 years ago, we launched like a scouting app. So through this app, like each of our members, they have like a link to it and like on their Chromebook. Yeah, we take Chromebooks to the regionals to scout, and it's like it asks, so like each of us are assigned with a specific like place to scout. So it's like there's 3 blue lines robots, 3 red alliance robots. So each of us get assigned 1 robot, and we make a scouting schedule beforehand. And we have 3 sections basically. So it's the starting autonomous, and then teleop, and then endgame. And then at the end, we ask our scouters to fill out a quick survey of how well the driver did and how the robot performed, and then write any comments that they have. And then at the end, it shows a QR code. So our lead scouter takes a picture of this QR to later scan into an Excel sheet. And that way, our drive coach and strategy team takes all this data and kind of interprets it and uses it then for their game schedule, and to see what teams how other teams are playing basically. So through this app, they could select how many points they got. For last year, they could count where they put the node, things like that. So I'm pretty sure we use like this code with another team. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we have the code available, so if you guys ever want to see it,
It's on our website. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's on our
presented
website.
about it at a conference we hold at our school. So we talked about our scouting app and how we came to it. How the programmers who did it talked
Mhm,
about it.
yeah.
It's on our website if you want to check it out.
Yeah, I'll go check it out afterwards. That sounds very, very developed. Yeah, it was very easy to access. Not much hassle, just straight
And
up.
it makes it fun for the underclassmen to like scout. They actually want to
And they
scout.
learn how the game works
Yeah.
too. Like they actually see it on the Chromebook and on the field.
Definitely.
That's a really good thing because generally, whenever the new members who join, scouting is not something that they're initially wanting to do. It's very nice that you guys find a way to motivate them to do it. Wow.
Yeah, like for me, this being my first year on the team,
Yeah.
like everyone freshman year, they want to go into like, oh, I want to build first thing. I want to do other stuff first thing. First thing, you don't think about wanting to scout as the first thing you do. So we have an invitational event that we go to, I think almost every year.
Yeah, HHH. We have
It's an off-season
off-season
event.
event, and
It's
we
an off-season event.
we have our underclassmen sort of learn how to scout through that event because it's not regional, it's an off-season event. So then when they go to regionals, they have that exposure and then know how to scout the team.
And then they learn how important scouting actually is
Yeah.
for the drive team eventually.
That's amazing.
So I was wondering what inspired you guys to get into robotics.
Okay, I'll go first. I did FLL in middle school, so I was like on the project team, helped with like core values or project ideas, all that at skits. And in high school, I got into like operations, and I really wanted to help with like fundraising, outreach, anything. And last year when we started a podcast, it was really intriguing, and I loved to help out, talk to other teams. So that's where I am now. For me, my brother was in FLL in elementary school and all throughout middle school, and then I always saw how much fun he would have with it. So when we came to high school, he joined the robotics team, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it as well. So at first, I used to work in the mechanical aspect of our team, but then I got more exposure to our operations team, which is like marketing and outreach, and I sort of like fell in love with like helping our community and expanding our outreach to international teams and like seeing these little kids, their faces light up whenever we talk to them about STEM and robotics. And yeah, that's sort of like why I chose to do it.
So for me, I've always been huge into technology in general, like all these different parts and other stuff with parents who grew up building these things. So like joining robotics, it like helped me, it like allows me to like encourage myself to like also like help with the technical aspect of it in terms of like helping like programming or trying to solve any programming issues, even helping build a Raspberry Pi. And I love it. Then also with the mechanical and actually building aspect, hence why I'm in the carpentry section as well, a portion of our team. It definitely helps like for future experience as well. Like what if I buy a good home in the future and it needs to be fixed and there's no one around. So like it definitely helps in the long run.
One of the main reasons you have a carpentry team is because of a week 0 event we hold called Regal Eagle Rampage. That's what our mentor was talking about, like I was scrimmaged before. I don't think he expanded on it. So like we invite like this year we have 25 teams attending. It's actually next Sunday. So all these teams attend. We do like it's like a practice. It's like a competition event, but we're not actually like competing. It's like more like practice.
Calibration matches.
Yeah, calibration matches. So yeah, so that's the whole reason of carpentry.
That's awesome.
How do you guys approach like strategy when it comes to the game?
So we're not actually part of the strategies team, but I can like tell you what I've seen. So
Talk about kickoff or strategy.
Oh, okay. So during
like when the game is announced, we call that kickoff. Well, it's called kickoff. So we split into like sort of like subgroups, and these subgroups like they come up with different strategies on how to like build a robot and how to
like intake mechanisms.
like
So
intake mechanisms.
like this is where underclassmen get involved, and we split into like 4 subgroups eventually, and like they have to come up with like something like a mechanism we can do like for intake, or like something within like we can add to a robot which might help us for this year's game. So and then they present it to like the whole team, we talk about it. The lead like drive team, the seniors in mechanical, they start talking about what we can implement, and that's how we go about it. This year we're actually doing like a tip bot, so we're doing we're building 2 robots essentially, like a
Well,
tip bot.
3, yeah.
3. So
Did you guys mean like that kind of strategy, or like strategy like
I kind of meant for the game, because I feel like part of our struggle is not having like a strategy for the actual game, not like building the robot, but like
Oh yeah, so that's what mainly our scouters are for. So it's really like crucial for our scouters to take accurate data, because through this data is what our drive coach and our strategy team uses throughout the regional competitions to sort of like see where each team is at and which like every team's strengths and every team's weaknesses. And from there, they sort of like build that strategy of like, oh, okay, so we're aligned, our alliance contains of these teams, and this is how we're gonna play with that. And I think Mr. Laspina can also expand on that. We're talking about strategy right now.
It just popped in. You know, I think one thing that helped our team is when we started printing a color copy of the game field and then putting that on a clipboard with plastic like transparency. So with dry erase markers. So Mirage, our drive coach captain, he'll go with that in his hand and then map out, you know, what do we want to try to accomplish? What will your team do? What will our team do to try to get the most number of links in last year's game or whatever it is? And you guys talk about like really being a student-run team. So I like the fact that the drive team coach is not me, but it's a kid who, you know, is really, really into it. And I think part of what made him good at that is watching a lot of matches. Is what I think the football players call that watching tape, right? The old school. It's no longer tape, but watching lots of video of other teams playing the game well, and then working with your alliance partners in the best way you can, which obviously you guys know how to do because you won the region, which is something we did not do.
We try. Oh, can I ask one quick question? How big is your team? You seem like you have a lot of like departments going on.
You know, it's about the same size as your team, but it's funny, and I've listened to a number of these podcasts where she always asks that question, and it's often hard for people to answer that question because it's like, well, how many people do you have that actually show up versus how many people consider themselves members? So we're around the same size as you. You said you're 46, right? 41. So like, we have an attendance system now where people will like swipe a card when they come in. So I think our 42nd most active student has come like maybe a dozen times in the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're coming less than a dozen times, like, yeah, okay, you know, you're on the team, but you're barely coming once a week since kickoff, which is our crunch time. Build season started, and we're seeing you maybe once a week. Like, yeah, you're on the team. I don't know if you're really going to go to a regional or anything because you're not too serious about it if you're just showing up once a week for an hour. So our team's around the same size as yours. And even with, if you have 40 people, you have to organize yourself into some kind of groups, right? I'm sure you guys have some kind of structure to your team as well.
Yeah. Still working on it.
We're working on it, but yeah, we are sort of divided into departments, like you guys are.
But speaking of student-run team structure, though, Bibi, I have a question for you. Of the group in your chat here, you're the least experienced member on the team. You've been on the team the least number of years, and yet you are the president. So I'm wondering how that came to be.
I think it's just because last year I like to think I was given roles at the very last minute and I was able to tackle them cohesively. We had a problem with our scouting team at the very last minute in the middle of comp, and I had to take over with less than 2 weeks to prepare for it. And I'd like to say we were pretty successful with it.
Mhm.
So I think it was just I was involved everywhere. I was trying to learn here, there, just trying to be as helpful as I could. And I did. I held up all right, and it got me to where I'm at right now. So
That's great.
Excellent. That's incredible. Good answer.
Any other questions?
Right. So I know you guys kind of talked on this a little bit, but I kind of wanted to know how your guys' team is structured, especially when it comes to your build team. Our team, we have a hierarchy, obviously president and vice president and our build lead, but how do you guys split it up?
So we have two main sections of our team. So it's split between our lab, which is more of our technical aspect of the team, which is the build team, and the pit team. And then we have our operations team, which is fundraising, media, marketing, outreach, and our podcast. And Mr. Laspina, do you want to talk more about the lab, and then I'll expand on outreach?
Sure. I think you would be able to explain that too, though. I mean, we have a president, our captain, and he is more on the mechanical side, but he's well aware of operations. And we wanted to sort of try to unify those two halves of the team in a sense. We made it to the championships last year based on getting the Engineering Inspiration Award. Right? So it was that aspect of the team that really shined. Although our mechanical team did very well, they didn't do well enough to win a regional. But we're really happy to win EI 2 years in a row. So that's a real big focus of our team. On the engineering side, we have a vice president of engineering and manufacturing. And then the person who is in the role of drive team captain is also drive team coach, is also very much involved in the engineering aspect. So the three of them really work together, captain, vice president, and drive team coach, on making design decisions. But ultimately, the student decision responsibility primarily lies with the team captain. So I'm going to, communicate with him and look for him to try to make some final decisions on things. But I know the three of them really work very well together. And then we have different groups underneath that. So we have a sophomore who really took to CNCing. And so we had him train a couple of younger kids, ninth graders. And so they're sort of our CNC team to try to take CAD ideas and put them into Lexan or metal. And then we have a couple electrical leads, seniors, juniors, and then some error kids that have learned. And that's pretty much the whole team. And then the other aspect, which Aaron is involved in. Aaron, why do we have a carpentry team?
It was mentioned earlier, but we build the field for the event we're hosting, Regal Eagle Rampage. So it's really important that we have that done, that we have like a separate subsection of the mechanical department working on building the field, just so that it's like ready in time
you have to be done.
for our
And
event.
painted.
And painted and well painted.
Right. Trying to coordinate and communicate between the different groups has always been a challenge. So we tried to really work on that this year. Try to keep documentation going. So if someone else can pick up, like one of our students, vice president of engineering, was out today because he had pink eye. So fortunately, he communicated well with the other kids in the team, so they were able to pick up where he left off. But that's really essential to success, I think.
And then just like the technical aspect has their hierarchy, we also have our vice president of operations, which is our captain of our operations team. And then under that, we have project managers that take care of we have fundraising project manager, we have media, which breaks up into social media. And then we have our podcast manager and sponsoring grants manager. So that's sort of how we organize our team, basically.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I feel like one of our struggles for our team is we all want to have our hands on the robot. There's not a lot of us, especially for our social media. This is the first year we've actually had someone dedicated to it. So moving forward, we're definitely trying to expand it to that aspect where, just like you guys, we could actually go for these awards like the Woody Flowers and that sort of stuff. So Lucy, our secretary.
How many kids are actually involved in actively building and designing? Of your 40-odd students, how many are actually doing stuff?
We have a hierarchy, obviously. So we have our lead build, and then underneath him is me, another one of our juniors, and then kind of like all our juniors almost as the next build lead. So if he needs us to do something, he knows he can come to us and we can get it done. So we'll focus on the subsystems of the robot, where then we'll take our underclassmen and kind of show them. So it's mainly like the 7 of us at the top. And then when we need to, we'll branch off into our lower classmen. We do Vex as well. So they'll be focusing on that, especially in the beginning of the FRC season. So our sophomores will be leading them through that. But when need to, and once Vex season's over, then that's when our upper of our builders start spreading down and trying to bring them over to the FRC side and show them the ropes.
Yeah, you have a lot more opportunity for giving people on your team hands-on experience with building because of the Vex. We have less of that. So, there's a limit to how many people can actually physically have their hands on the robot, obviously. And you can divide into subsystems, how many people can work on an intake? 2, 3, 4 at once? So part of why I think our operations team is successful is because we pretty much will channel students into that. Like if a freshman really wants to accomplish something and be a part of something, we had a freshman help write the essay this year and write some of the short answer questions. And she has great skills there. I actually don't know what her skills are like mechanically because she hasn't been there. She found an itch. So I would say that's what you need to do. Look at like your 9th and 10th graders, and if a kid is a great writer, or they're a creative thinker, or they're good with photography, maybe that will be their niche in the team rather than drilling metal together.
Yeah, exactly. Like our freshman year, we had no organization at all. Our sophomore year, we started getting organized, starting getting deadlines on time, that sort of stuff. So definitely as our club is progressing throughout the years, we're trying to move on and evolve these different areas of our club and truly move it from something where it's just a couple of teenagers trying to build a robot to an actual FRC club to be known. And you guys bringing onto your podcast means so much to us because it makes it seem like we're actually known now. We're not just some team in Florida. We're here.
We're actually on the map.
Exactly.
And it's just.
And when you get to Houston this year, everyone's going to be able to find your pit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to meet.
Light it up.
Yeah, we're gonna be searching for your pit if we both go. Any other questions at all?
I think that's a pretty good wrap up for today.
All right, perfect. Anything else from us, Mr. Espina?
No, pleasure to meet all of you. And good luck with the rest of your season.
Yeah, good luck with the build season.
Thank you guys so much
for coming on. Thank you.